When we think about Winston Churchill, we often picture the iconic speeches, the grit and determination that led Britain through its darkest days. But what if I told you that Churchill's true genius went far beyond inspiring words? What if his hidden war strategies were the real keys to winning World War II? You're about to uncover the untold side of Churchill's leadership that turned the tide of the war. The year was 1940, and Britain stood on the brink of defeat. Nazi Germany had already swept through Europe, and Britain was all alone, facing down the most powerful military force the world had ever seen. But Churchill, instead of bowing to despair, unleashed a series of underground strategies that no one saw coming. Churchill knew that intelligence was the ultimate weapon. The British government, under his orders, set up a massive deception network designed to mislead the Nazis at every turn. One of the most daring operations was Operation Fortitude, which convinced the Germans that the Allies were planning to invade Norway, not Normandy. This gave the real D-Day invasion the element of surprise. But here's the kicker. Churchill wasn't just relying on spies. He used the media, fake radio transmissions, and even inflatable tanks to create a false reality that Germany would believe until it was too late. The Nazis were blinded by a carefully crafted mirage, and Britain's strategy paid off in ways no one could have imagined. Churchill's next secret weapon was the Special Operations Executive, SOE. Often called the Churchill Secret Army, this covert group was tasked with sabotaging Nazi operations across Europe. They didn't fight on the front lines, they operated in the shadows, planting bombs, cutting supply lines, and spreading chaos. Churchill understood that victory wasn't just about big battles. It was about undermining the enemy's strength piece by piece. One of their most daring missions was the assassination of Nazi officers and the destruction of critical infrastructure. This wasn't just war, it was psychological warfare, breaking down Nazi morale from within. Churchill was a master at building alliances, not just through promises of military support, but by appealing to the hearts and minds of global leaders. While America was still hesitant to join the war, Churchill's ability to persuade President Franklin D. Roosevelt became one of his most powerful weapons. But it wasn't just about charm. Churchill understood the power of narrative. He sold the idea of freedom not just to Britain, but to the world. With every speech, he made it clear that this was a fight for the survival of civilization itself, appealing to the very moral fabric of humanity. His persuasive rhetoric turned a reluctant Roosevelt into a committed ally, securing vital resources and military support for the war effort. While Churchill is often remembered for his famous relationship with Roosevelt, one of his most controversial and effective strategies involved an unlikely partner, Stalin. In a war with so many moving parts, Churchill understood that the Soviet Union was a necessary evil in defeating Hitler. Despite the ideological divide, Churchill set aside personal differences and established a strategic alliance with Stalin, which was vital in ensuring that the Germans were stretched across multiple fronts. This kept the Nazis occupied on both the eastern and western fronts, weakening their ability to concentrate forces on Britain. While the partnership was uneasy, Churchill knew that temporary alliances could yield long-term benefit. Perhaps Churchill's greatest hidden weapon was his ability to instill a sense of hope during the darkest hours. He didn't just lead with military strategies, he led with the belief that Britain would triumph, no matter the odds. At a time when defeat seemed imminent, Churchill's speeches were more than just words. They were minds and hearts being shaped into an unshakable will to fight. He turned despair into determination and fear into courage. Churchill's war strategies weren't just about tactics. They were about creating an atmosphere where resilience, deception, and calculated alliances turned a vulnerable nation into a superpower of resistance. His hidden methods were the secret behind his ability to stay one step ahead of the enemy and ultimately to lead Britain and the Allies to victory in World War II. So the next time you think of Winston Churchill, remember, his brilliance wasn't just in his speeches or his courage, but in his mastery of hidden warfare, a strategy that helped change the world forever. What do you think? Were Churchill's hidden strategies the key to winning the war? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch the next video for more Secrets of History's Greatest Leaders. Thanks for watching.